Oh, sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, respected viewers, to our new episode on Huda. We'll be continuing our schools, What is Missing? Now, in this episode we're going to be discussing how to perfect the work in the school with respect to those who are actually working in the school, and of course how the students can benefit as well. With me in the studio today is Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed. Welcome to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Excellent to have you back on the set with us today.
Thank you.
Now, Doctor, we've been discussing a variety of issues around schools, and of course in this episode we're going to be discussing how to perfect our work and our systems, perhaps you could say as well. Now, how important are job descriptions for the people who actually work in the school in pushing forward this idea of perfecting the work?
Okay. If you allow me, first of all, to connect this topic with the previous topic. Remember that the main theme of these episodes is our schools, what is missing. The last time I think we talked about the fitrah, the original nature. It's missing from our schools. We maintaining this original nature. I think that this is something very important because this is one of the tasks of every human being, whether he's a parent, whether he's a teacher, whether he's a principal. So this was one of the tasks. The second one is perfecting our tasks, perfecting our jobs. And again, this is one of the main things that Islam highlights. You see this saying that إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. Indeed, Allah loves to see any one of you doing an act, to see His perfection of this act. So Allah does not accept halfways. Allah loves to see perfection. And you remember that perfection, there is nothing called absolute perfection, especially in the field of education, because there is a lot of variables here. So every time you think that you achieved perfection, you find someone else is doing something better than you, so you want to catch up with him or to catch up with her.
So you want to say that perfection is always an ongoing process?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, especially in the field of education. You perfect your work right now, and then you see other school systems doing something better that you are not offering. So from your perspective, or from your school perspective, even the collective experience of the school, you think that after evaluation, after being accredited, you've done a wonderful job and you reached 10 out of 10. And all of a sudden, you discovered another country somewhere in the world or another educational system somewhere else is doing something that you're not achieving. So now you're no longer perfect. So you need to achieve perfection. So it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the job descriptions, how can we push those and how can we encourage people with the job descriptions to go forward?
One of the elements that would help people to perfect their work, first of all, if they are held accountable by others. Okay, now you are my boss or you are my employer. You have some tasks for me. When you made a contract with me, you already described the job for me. And when I understand, when you explain these tasks for me, this is considered the description of the job that I will be responsible for. If I don't know these things well, if I don't understand them well, right, how can you hold me accountable? You hold me accountable for cleaning the ground, for teaching such a number of classes, for participating in these activities. So the more specific the job description is, the better or the more it gives me, the more help it gives me to fulfill my duties. So now you check as a checklist, right? So you check number 1, you check number 2, you check number 3. And by doing this, even me myself, I would know what I am doing, where am I?
And I guess it would help the person who's applying for the job to evaluate whether he himself has the skills to give what is required by the institution or school.
Yeah, perhaps it sounds a new idea, that self-evaluation. A lot of people talk about now self-evaluation. For me, I can evaluate myself. And by the way, this is a very old traditional Islamic concept in the past. حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا. Hold yourself accountable, right? And evaluate yourself before you are evaluated. And the reference here that before we are evaluated or judged by Almighty Allah. So it's a chance for ourselves to evaluate ourselves. Let me say that by the end of the day, if I evaluate what I have done, the positives and the negatives, how many things I have done very good, how many things that I've done bad, so that the following day I have to act upon the result of this evaluation. This is the key issue. It's not just evaluating yourself for the sake of evaluation. No, for stepping into another step, which is, let me eliminate the number of negatives that I have done today. That's why if my day today is similar to my day yesterday, I'm a loser.
So does that contain an important point for perhaps managers and people in positions of authority? Because many times I see that it's accountability, but yet there's no progress forward. And there's no personal dialogue between the manager and the teacher.
There should be. And that's why you say that in the CPD now, continuous professional development. Part of it is that you sit with your employer and you would discuss your goals, and here are your responsibilities, and he is evaluating me that you've done this, but you did not do this. Or you've done this 90%, you need to take it to another level, 95%, and so on and so forth. And by this direct talk between the two of them, I think things become much, much more better than before, especially if they have common background saying that our goal is to improve our school.
Okay, so let's slightly change the nature of the topic a little bit. Let's talk about coordination across the function of the school. Now, we talked about individuals and how they are held themselves and they should be held accountable. What about generally the interlinkage between the different parts of the school? How can that work to push the school forward and to drive towards that sort of perfection?
When we look at any machine in the world, look at the watch that you have, right? When you open it and see what is inside it, you will find lots of things in. They are working in synchronization with each other. And this would result, and the more accurate they are, the result would be that an accurate watch, an accurate machine, because they know that this part works with the other part and it's linked with it. So if all of them, if one of them is leaking or is not functioning well, absolutely they would affect the whole performance of the watch. This is exactly one of the metaphors that everybody understands, that we need to work, yes, although we have some work that are individualized for each one of us, however, the more we synchronize our work with each other, if I know what is happening in the other school, in the other class that my colleague teaches in, I would know what is happening, so we can synchronize together and we do something together. It becomes much, much better. Yes.
Just thinking on that point, I mean, a lot of schools today are huge. What sort of techniques can they use to encourage this process of communication between different functions and departments?
Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, no organization or no school would begin huge. Most of them begin small ones and they start functioning. And if they find themselves, this is my advice to any principal, to any owner of the school. Yeah. If you find yourself successful with small number and their coordination among all the parts of the school, among all the teachers and the head teachers in the school, increase the number, accept new students. if you find yourself you're not functioning well, please stop at that time and try to correct yourself by self-evaluation, see what is missing, what is needed to be done in order to be better. When you see that yourself, that the result of this evaluation is getting better, try to accept more and more. Unfortunately, some of the owners of the schools, private schools particularly, that they don't care about the quality, or in other words, they don't care about perfection.
So are we saying here, were we talking about the spread of best practices? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, this is part of it. So what I'm saying is that some owners of the school, they try to look for the gains, for the money, yes, for their own interest, rather than they looking for the interest of the students and the community that they live in. And this is sometimes is due to the parents. The parents, when they are not involved in the school actively, when they don't hold the school accountable for its functioning, for the consequences that it reached. They don't ask the principal. There's no system of accountability there. What happens that the parents would put their kids in a school and leave them by themselves.
Well, this was my next question, really. I see as perhaps one of the fundamental pillars of driving the student and the function of the school towards perfection is the role of the parent. And it's the role and the relationship between the parent and the school and the teachers within it. How can we improve and build this relationship between the parents and the teachers to develop this?
That's good. It's very important for parents now to know this. I hope that they would understand the concept of partnership.
Okay, and with that concept, I will stop you there. We're going to go to a short break. Stay with us, stay tuned. We will see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, to our new episode on Huda. We've been discussing how to perfect the role of the school and the students as well in their education. Now with me in the studio is our guest, Dr. Mamdouh. Dr. Mamdouh, just before the break we were discussing about perfecting the role of the school, and for the perfection of the students themselves really is our end goal. Yeah. And we were discussing the important role of parents, and you were saying that it's a partnership between parents and the school. Can you just highlight and explain to us what you mean?
Yeah, I was talking about partnership, and then you cut the partnership. The concept of partnership is not there in the minds of many parents. They just think it is the responsibility of the school to do the whole job. No, this is not right. Every parent needs to be educated about the role of the parents, to understand the concept of partnership. No, we are partners. You're doing one part, we are doing another part. You're doing the teaching, we are doing the funding, and we are doing the evaluation, and we are the ones who are holding you accountable. So we are playing some roles as parents, and you as a school are doing some other. It's partnership. Like a factory, it does not work by a person. Like what is happening between you and me. You are asking questions and I'm answering. So it's partnership between both of us. This is the simplest example. If one of us is absent now, it will be a one-man show. And of course, now by having this interactivity among us, you give me the feedback and I correct myself. And in this way, we grow together. We correct each other. Right? In this way, we get a better product, a better outcome, which is our students. Every parent, if he or she does not know that, I think there are many workshops. We can do some workshops for the parents. And I think there are many of these workshops everywhere in the world to educate them about their role, their positive role in helping the schools to work together to get good outcome.
Exactly, and I was just going to ask you, I mean, certainly I'm a parent and in the future my son will be going to attend school. Can you just sort of give us an idea of what exactly we can do as parents, just briefly, to link our partnership in with the school? What can we actually do?
Yeah. In the beginning, when we try to put our children in one of the schools, when you go to school, just not taking the name, no. Go and see the brochures, the orientation that takes place every semester or every year. And we attend this and we see the brochures and we know the goals. We know the mission and the vision of every school. So if we are pleased with that, so now I select this school. If not, I would go around and make some search in the area to see what is the best fit for my child. Is this school? Because according to the description of the vision and the mission and the goals of this school, this is not what I want my child to be.
Okay, so the first step is to identify the correct school which fits in with your child, and perhaps each child is different, so each has a different set of requirements. So that's the first step. So what about in the ongoing relationship? I've entered my child into the school.
Yeah, but let me tell you that here. Remember what we talked about the first one? I, as a parent, particularly I'm a Muslim parent, I would see which school, according to this description, would maintain the original nature of my child, because this is one of my goals. I want my child to go to paradise. I want to look for some places that would help my child to achieve this goal. In other words, I'm looking for a school that would help my child to maintain her or his fitrah. So this is it, if we link it with the previous one, because we want to give a whole portrait, a complete picture. So here, now if I know that, so I select option A instead of option C, because it fits my child. But I may take option C, yes, it keeps this original nature. However, it adds something else, because I know that my child is visual, for example. And I know that this school provides a variety of teaching methods, that some of these teaching methods, as they say in their brochures, would address the specific case of my child who loves to learn visually, and this school focuses more.
Okay, what about the role? I've talked about ongoing relationship between parents and school. What about the role of things like parents' evenings? Is that something that you
parents'
think is
evening,
a good
of course,
idea?
the PTA they call it. Yeah, of course, we love that. Sometimes in some countries they call it the open house, where all the parents are encouraged to go to school and to meet individually with each teacher. So this teacher is teacher of math for my child. So even according to the schedule, I will meet him or I'll meet her from 7 to 7:30. Then after that, there is a presentation. Then after that, I meet the other teacher. The teacher here would give me a complete picture about my child.
What do you think this has on the effect? What sort of effects does this have on the relationship between the parents and the teachers? Does that increase
Definitely,
the bond?
It makes it much better.
And what about the power then that the parents then have over the student or their son?
First of all, when we build this strong relationship between the parent and the teacher, this would be for the benefit of the child. Because the teacher would know that I can help my child in his assignment or her assignment in doing this and this and this. So I'm pushing my the standard of my child a little bit up. I'm not leaving everything for the teacher, because no teacher can do a wonderful job with all the students. If we don't involve ourselves there, we would keep our kids back than the average child in the class. I think we need to work together, especially if it is positive. Unfortunately, in some countries, you would find the teacher doing this scenario is very common in some countries. The first call from the teacher to the parent, are you the father of so-and-so? It says, yes, I am. What happened? Your child have done a bad job today by doing. This would be the first contact. Try to imagine the negative impact that would happen to the parent when he or she hears that. Instead of this, even if the child does negative things, but at least in the first 2 or 3 calls that I've seen your child today doing something good, yes, he was doing this and this and this, and just ignore the weak things in the beginning until you develop strong relationship between them.
Just touching on that point, and perhaps a follow-up question to that would be, now people get locked into certain ways of working, certain cultures of working, particularly an example which I can identify that you've just mentioned. How can we change the culture of that work that is perhaps probably a bit destructive almost, isn't it?
Yeah. This is a wonderful question. I think the issue of culture. We change a culture by encountering this culture by another culture. We counter the negativity, the culture of negativity, by a culture of positivism. Something is negative, we encounter it by something positive. And the more we increase this, in other words, we educate people about the new culture. And we start to make the new culture is a common and consistent and regular practice in our daily life until it overrides the negative culture. So we encounter culture by another culture. Encountering negative by positive is one of the best solutions. Yes, and there are many hadiths and then many ayat Qur'aniyah in the Qur'an that says, ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. All the time push towards the positive thing. Be positive as much as you can. And that's why when you analyze the life of the Prophet ﷺ, you wonder, he never ever dealt with a situation in a negative way. That's why we encourage people at schools to study the biography of the Prophet ﷺ. See, whenever the Prophet ﷺ is confronted with 2 situations, one is more positive than the other, he would take the more positive. ما خير رسول الله بين أمرين إلا واختار أيسرهما ما لم يكن إثما. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ is confronted with 2 situations, he would take the one that's easy because it's more positive. In other words, we eliminate, we decrease the number of negative things that we do day by day, and we increase at the same time the number of positive things that we do on a daily basis until the time. This imbalance, we would make the positive things override the negative things.
The Prophet
sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We are spreading a new culture of positivism, of positive things. And in this way, we eliminate and we weaken and we decrease the negative thing.
Okay, Doctor, just want to change it, tact a little bit. We talked about the school, we talked about the teachers, we talked about the parents and their role in perfecting the provision of education. Now, every student knows himself that he is essentially responsible at the end of the day for the job. But how can we make him take hold of that responsibility and really try to develop this motivation that I want to be the best and I want to perfect my studies? How can we do that?
Well, we do it by a variety of ways, but unfortunately most of the schools that I'm aware of, they teach responsibility by lecturing. We know that lecturing we are hearing, so we hear from one ear and we let it go from the other ear.
One-way communication.
One-way communication lecturing. It does not teach responsibility. You teach responsibility by making a person responsible. One of the good practices that I have seen in some schools that they select this class, let's say grade 10 students. Today, They select the 20 students and they distribute them among the whole branches of the school. So one of them or two of them
So
would become...
is this like a reward? Is this a reward, or is it just
No,
a general...
it's part of the routine because they teach them responsibilities. So they would, for example, if I'm the principal of the school, so they would assign this student to stay with me the whole day to see everything that I do. When I meet a parent, when I see a child who is late, when I meet with the teachers, when I do everything, the part. So it's almost 24/7. He's shadowing me. This student is shadowing me. So he learns about my job. And he would imagine... Yes, please.
So I just want to ask you, so you've seen at first hand...
Yes, I did.
You've actually taken
Yes,
part
we've
in a
seen
scheme like
those,
this. What have you seen? What effects have you seen on the child when he sees this?
Oh, I saw a lot of things. That when the child saw by himself the job of the principal. So when he writes an evaluation about the principal, at least he would know the items or the issues that a principal handles every day. So he is more educated about the job of a principal. In other words, I prepare him that he can replace me if I am absent. And that's what happened in some school. When the principal is absent, they try to put some student instead and see how they are going to function. This is not the end of the world. So in other words, they take the student and make him responsible, fully responsible of the act, and see how he acts.
And I'm sure they probably have grown up quite a lot.
Absolutely.
In
So
that.
training first precedes. Enough training, quality training, and then after that, put the person in place of responsibility and see how he or she acts.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Welcome.
Mamdouh. Absolute pleasure having you on the show.
A pleasure is
We
mine.
hope to welcome you back again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, viewers, for joining us for this episode. I hope it's been a benefit to you. It certainly has for me. Please join us again next time. We will see you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallah